Hey, what's going on, everybody? On this go around, we're going to freshen up this carburetor. We're going to finish our wiring on the back of the truck. We're going to do some more work on the engine. We're going to get going on this body work because it ain't going to get itself done. So we may be making some door panels, and we may be even doing some painting. Who knows? But you got to stick around to find out. Okay, so I wanted to get started this week by finishing up the tail lights and all the wiring back there. But first, let's take a look at the steering stabilizer and how it's going to work. It's going to slide onto the double D shaft. Just like that. My thoughts are once we get this in place, we'll have to build a bracket to go from the stabilizer to the frame. We'll have to fabricate some kind of bracket to fasten this all together. Hopefully that'll work to stabilize the steering, because with so many joints in it, it wants to flex, up and down. This will hold it in place. I know I talked about putting some kind of tail lights in, but keeping with the kind of 59 Cadillac tail light theme, can't really come up with anything, and I really don't want to cut back into the body at all. But I do have an idea. Okay, so if we're looking up inside the fender, this is the canister that holds our tail light. Tail light will be sticking out the back. My thoughts are, if we drilled a hole in the top of this canister, Classic Industries has a small, I don't know if you can see that, small LEDs. They come in all different colors. Mounting one in the top of that canister so that it glows down. So you actually won't even see it because it'll be up inside the canister. But yet when you turn the parking lights on, you'd see a red glow in there. I think that might work for us. And for 20 bucks for, I think, 10 of them, I think we're going to give it a shot. So that'll solve that problem. We'll go out in the shop and I'll get up under the fender and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's the canister. And my idea is to drill a hole in the top of it and mount the LED on the top so it shines down into the canister. There's a lot of piddly BS that has to get done too. For example, I got new tie downs for the valve covers, but the old stems are still stuck in the head, so we got to get those out. So before we do all of that, let's do something simple like clean up them brake drums. Let's get a coat of paint on them, get them back on the truck so we can get the tires back on the truck. Let's get the studs out of these heads before I forget about it. Alright, so we're ready to dig into this carburetor. I didn't pick up a new rebuild kit, but I do have a bunch of pieces left over from other projects. We're going to combine these two kits, use whatever we can use out of them, get this thing cleaned up. It's a little dirty down in there. I just got some purple degreaser. I'm just going to soak everything in that. We'll get it all cleaned up. Alright, we got everything cleaned up pretty good. Got the float bowls cleaned out a lot better than they were. Let's go through these gaskets and see what we're going to need and get this thing back together. Well, there it is, guys. We won't go as far as to say she's rebuilt, but she is cleaned up. She is freshened up. Even though she was pretty grimy on the outside, it looks like somebody had already gone through this and put new gaskets in. So really wasn't much to do on the inside, with just to clean up the float bowls and all that. But we got it all cleaned, and now she's ready to go back on the engine. Hey, welcome back to the shade tree. Today it is a steamy 15 degrees outside. So it means it's 15 degrees in the garage. We're not going to go out there for a while. Today we're going to stay in the shop where it's a little bit warmer and put some time in on these door panels. See how far we can get. I'm going to make a pattern of this insert here, and then we're going to fabricate our door panels from that. So let's get busy sanding and touching up this panel so we can get them primed and eventually painted. All right, so this was the driver's side, worst of the two. This had the big whammo in it with a big hole in it. We hammered and dollied it, hit it with some fibered Bondo, and now we got it skimmed over with regular Bondo. Keeping in mind, this is going to get covered by a panel, so it's not really going to affect too much. The passenger side is in pretty good shape. Just got to do some sanding on that, priming and painting. Okay, so while this Bondo sets up, let's cut our double D shaft and head out into the garage and mock the steering up. All right, I think that's what's going to give us what we need here. We just got to mount the stabilizer down onto the frame rail, somewhere in that vicinity. That should do it. Should give us what we need right there. Okay, so we're back at it for another day. Before we head out into the shop, I think it's probably a good time to make our door panels. All right, so here's the pattern. Left side, right side. I've got our fabric marked out. We're going to use same fabric as the headliner. We got our foam backing. I think because it's door panel, we'll probably double up on the foam. We've got this hardboard fiber that I think is going to work out really well because I guess back in the day they used to use a fibered cardboard. So this will hold up pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and transfer our pattern onto the board and get started. Alright, so we got our panels cut out. I'm not even sure what you call this stuff. It's almost like a foam board. It's rigid, but yet kind of flexible. I think it's going to work out perfect for what we need. So this is pretty straightforward. Just like I did the headliner, cover it with foam. In this case, we're going to use 2 layers of foam and then our fabric. We're going to try this spray adhesive. If that doesn't work, we've always got the old standby flashing tape. I have very little to no idea what I'm doing here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Alright, so all I'm going to do here is spray this down with some adhesive and attach the foam to it. Okay, again, I don't want to talk like I know what I'm doing because I don't, but just from doing the headliner and a couple of door panels in the past, we have to put some relief cuts in here around the corners so we can make the bends. So that's basically all I'm going to do is hit the outside here with glue, and we're just going to fold this over and hope for the best. Well, my first attempt, not successful. I cut too far down there, you see that? And in there. Go back to the drawing board on this one. It's a good thing I bought 2 yards of material. That's all I got to say. But, as you can see, when it's finished, if it's done right, it'll look pretty good. Let me redo this one. Are they perfect? Not even close. But they're going to be good enough for what we need. I think they turned out pretty good considering. Well, there they are, fellas. I had some of this chrome door trim stuff that I split down the middle, went around the outsides with it. I think we got to put a heat gun to it to kind of get it to relax a little more, but yeah, I think they're going to work out well for us. I guess now we should probably head out into the shop, put some time in on that steering, and then maybe get to working on the door panels again, see if we can't get them primed, maybe painted, who knows. But all I do know is yesterday's 15 degrees, today is 12 degrees, so I'm not sure we're going to do a whole lot of painting. Might be able to do our little aerosol can spray trick on the door panels. I don't know. We'll see. But let's do it, man. Okay, so no matter what I do, this is just not going to clear. I have another idea of how we can get a little bit more clearance here. If we can pull this steering column up just a little farther to get the joints inside so that this knuckle is inside the cab. But I think that might just do the trick. Of course, we'd have to put spacers under here so our bracket can come up higher. But I think that's worth a try. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this apart, see if we can't pull that steering column up far enough to get that knuckle inside the cab and just have the double D rod coming out. I think that might just work, and that way it'll have clearance for everything. So let me do that. Alright, so after a lot of manipulating of this steering linkage, we finally achieved our goal. We have clearance. The valve cover is on. Clearance on our manifold. And she's spinning freely. I found this piece of scrap metal that we're going to use as our support. I'm going to box it in on the sides, secure it to the frame, and that'll be our anchor point for that steering linkage. We'll get back after it again tomorrow. Alright, we are back at it again today. The sun is shining. The bad thing is it's still only like 17 degrees, so we're going to let that garage heat up a little bit before we go out there, because the heater is so loud that even if I did film anything, you wouldn't be able to hear me. Anyway, once we get the torque converter bolts back in and the transmission mount secured, we can move back to the top of the engine. Now that we know our steering is going to work, we can go ahead and button up the rest of this engine. So let's cut out all the chitter chatter and let's get to it, man. Okay, now that the torque converter bolts are in, we can now focus our attention on our steering linkage. All the set screws have to be countersunk into the double D channel. So let me get busy drilling and doing that. Okay, so we got our linkage all secured in there. Still have not secured the bracket yet, but I want to show you guys something here. Look at this, huh? We got steering, baby. Oh yeah. And she's not binding at all. I'm gonna call that a win. We got clearance on our valve covers. We got clearance on our manifold. So that's a great way to end this video, I think. Didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but the weather's been crappy. It's been really cold out here. Not that that's an excuse, but I'm going to use it. We did manage to get our torque converter bolted back up. So now we can start continuing on with this engine build. We did manage to get our door panels made this week. We put some time in on the inner door skins. We finished all the wiring in the back of the truck. Still waiting on those LEDs to do our parking lights. Some weeks are better than others. I think this one ended on a good note. Our steering is finished. Till next week, man, take it easy.